guys, go. All right, welcome back, guys. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and everything. We'll be streaming this live for the first time, Boundaries and Brotherhood, with all the bells and whistles going on. I'm your host, Gordon Watt, and I'm hoping you guys had a safe Merry Christmas and everything else. Everybody else had holidays. Doc, reintroduce yourself as always. I'm going to get everything all set up like we do normally, and I hope
Yes.
you guys like our little situation now. We're stepping up our production. And
Yes,
I
we
just want to
are.
say, I hope you guys do have a good year. Doc, set up all us and I'll get us all live situated right.
So, guys, welcome. This is Dr. Keith Fairclough, your resident um, therapist and coach. I'm here to give you guys what you need so that you can be the 11th man, be the man you were born to be and God designed you to be in every area of your life. And today, if we're going to be talking about how to stop being just a paycheck for your significant other, especially when they're disrespectful.
Oh,
We're going to be
geez.
talking about that. Because we were talking about a situation that took place. Gordon was letting me in on a situation that took place. He may go into more detail, de-identified, of course. But it left me floored. It left me floored. But at the same time, I understand why a lot of men would get caught in a situation like this. So we're going to be discussing that and breaking the situation down. We're going to be giving you some tips and strategies because we definitely know that there are a lot of guys nowadays that feel like they are just a paycheck. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of guys who don't even want to be in relationships or get married because they feel like it's a bad deal, but it's only a bad deal if you don't know how to operate it, right? It's just like anything else. Any one of you guys that might be in business, if you know what a bad deal looks like, and if someone's getting into a bad deal, but usually it's because they don't know how to make a deal. They don't know how to do it, you know. But if you know how to make a good deal, then the world is yours, right? And so it's the same thing for relationships, the same thing for marriage. If you know how to operate in the relationship, you know how to operate within yourself and be the man you're supposed to be and never compromise for anything, thinking that if you give up a part of yourself and give up who you are, that you're going to end up getting something else on the other side. Like, you should never be in a situation where you do that. But we can teach you how to make sure you don't do that. We can make sure that you can be your full, authentic self and have the relationship you want. And even if you're in a relationship where things are getting, you're maybe used right now, we can teach you how to finally put your foot down, set proper boundaries, and have the relationship you're looking for, or know how to exit the right way.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is why when somebody reached out to me and explained to me the situation about when does physicality stop with everything else going on in your relationship, and how do you stop being basically a super simp, paying for people's. We did a video on this earlier during the year, and it just got recycled, returned back up because the situation was, if you're a man and you're just being a paycheck and your partner has another side person and you're paying for the kids and you're happy with that and you're about to lose your job for it, we need to talk about this because this is a situation where men, where Doc said, we talked about validation, confidence, self-doubt. You might not think you're good enough at everything else that you might have going on, but at the same time, you gotta have a backbone and draw some boundaries for yourself, not just for your sanity, but actually for your self-respect. Let's elaborate on that one, Doc.
Yeah.
This is gonna be deep.
Well, and we talked about, before, Gordon, about how, all the myths about what it is to be a man, right? We don't
Right.
feel emotion and how we just, we pay all the bills. That's more than enough. And we talked about all that stuff. So I'm not going to break all that down. Right. But
Watch our videos.
eventually, you know, we as men, a lot of times, we not a lot of times, we all want to be loved,
Sure.
you know, and we're willing to do whatever it takes in order to be loved, and unfortunately, though, that also includes giving up parts of who we are, giving up our respect,
True.
allowing certain things to take place, allowing ourselves to be talked to a certain way, treated a certain way, because then we believe that, well, if I just show up and just be the best leader, provider, protector I could possibly be, but in the very most basic terms, right? Talking about, I just make decisions, I make money and pay bills, and I keep everyone physically safe, or I keep a roof over our head, things like that. We think that's the highest form of being a man, and that if we just do that basic stuff, that's enough, right? And if it means cutting out parts of who we are and not sticking up for ourselves, or putting ourselves in the back burner, or allowing ourselves to get burnt out, or allowing ourselves to be used, we still feel that, oh, well, if we do these things, then maybe one day she'll come around. Maybe she'll see how great of a guy I am. Maybe she'll finally love me the way I want to be loved. And I don't know anyone who it's ever come back to that. I don't know any man where he never stood up for himself. He never had boundaries. He never had self-respect. He was never his authentic self. He didn't take care of himself. I've never seen a man give all of himself up, and then his wife or girlfriend, whoever, comes back and says, "Oh my gosh, I love you so much." Usually what happens is they get ran over.
And
And
ran over,
and
basically,
over.
yes.
And they hit it in reverse and bump right back over you. And then they go forward again. And then they come back over you. That's what I tend to see, and then unfortunately, and this isn't me saying, I'm just saying what people say. They say that's a weak man, right? That's
Yes.
not a man she's attracted. That's why, and especially if she can go out and cheat on you with another guy knowingly, and you still stick around, you're really nothing but a paycheck at that point. No one's looking at you with any kind of respect at that point. That's
Absolutely.
because you're not standing your ground. You're not saying, "Hey, this is how I want to be treated." And unfortunately, what happens, Gordon, a lot of times there's guys that allow that all this build up, and they end up crashing out. They end up doing these crazy things. They end up killing off the kids, killing off the girlfriend, doing all these like crazy wild things. And like, bro, if you would have just had your boundaries in the very beginning, if you would have just been authentic from the very beginning, if you would have said, "Yeah, nah, that ain't going down like that. Like, y'all gonna have to go," and especially if you're taking care of another man's kids, like that's crazy, you
I
know?
mean, that's just it's gotten so bad. Like, if you're taking out a payday loan to send your so-called partner to go to a concert that you're not even there, maybe she took the other dude. Freaking problem.
We
You know what I
have a
mean? Dude,
problem.
that's a big problem with validation, self-doubt, and everything. And if you're so that weathered down, maybe emotionally, physically, and maybe you didn't get the attention as you were as a kid, as something else, how can we move forward doing that, Doc? What would be, if you had a client that came to you with this type of situation, where would you start?
The first place I would start is educating him on, do you know the interest on payday loans and title loans? Like, these are like legal loan sharks. That's what these are
Oh yeah, I
loans.
wanted to be one. Excuse me.
The
I
interest.
looked into it. I need a gaming license.
Oh man, we did that one time for a title loan, and for not for Chris Brown tickets, but we were trying to pay somebody back real fast. The interest, it was crazy. We took a title loan for $10,000,
Okay.
and the interest on that $10,000, and when I said we paid it back in like a month's time.
Mhm.
$2,000. $2,000 is
For
what
how
interest
long?
we got in less in maybe a month and a half. So we borrowed it in like July. We paid them back in August. They made $2,000 worth of interest. So for anybody out there, we're not financial gurus. I'm just telling you right now, payday loans and title loans are absolutely terrible, terrible idea. And it's the fastest way to keep yourself stuck. So that's the first thing I would tell them. Like, hey, never ever do that. The first, but after, then I would start telling them about, hey, there's a way relationships are supposed to be, right? What is good behavior in a relationship? What are some things that are acceptable? What is not acceptable? Now, you told me that she put her hands on you. You told me
Not physical.
you a certain way. She's telling you disrespect. She's emasculating you in front of the kids. You told me that she's seeing another man. She has a side guy, right? And then maybe she's saying, "Oh, I'm going to leave him alone," but there's evidence of that being done. There's no transparency. There's no openness. So you're telling me that all these behaviors are going on, and I'm here to tell you, just let's give you some psychoeducation, that that's not healthy. That's not good, right? So I'm not going to talk about your feelings yet. I'm not going to talk about your perception yet. I'm not going to talk about your childhood wounds. I'm not going to talk about how you want to be loved. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff yet. I need a foundation, right? Because if I hop into that stuff first, you can start making all types of excuses and everything like that. Well, you don't understand. And she, but we had this kind of love and we had a great time and Christmas was great. You don't get it. But it's a family, or, but I'm a man, I'm supposed to take that. Like, we're not going to touch any of that stuff yet, right? Because you'll find a way to make excuses for that. The first thing we do, let's look at the basic objective facts. These things are not good for a relationship. Her putting her hands on you, that's not good. That's not healthy. Domestic violence, never good, right? Her talking to you any kind of way, calling you out your name, emasculating you, doing it in front of the kid, suspecting you, challenging you, usurping your authority, all that stuff. That's not good at all, right? Can't do that, right? Her cheating on you actively, right? It is not good at all. That can't, this relationship cannot be safe, right? It can't be safe at all, right? And then I would also state the fact that she's not even your wife. You out here playing house with someone who's not even your wife. All that protection and provision and all that stuff like that is for a wife, not a girlfriend, a wife. So what I do is I lay that foundation first and foremost, right? Because this is what we're going to build on, right? And then we'll go into it even a little bit more in a second, but then we start touching on the interpersonal stuff, the stuff that's going on interpersonal, but the stuff that's going on inside of him. That's when we start going into that stuff, right? But the first thing I would do, I would set the foundation, set the floor, empathize with them, of course, right?
Okay.
I set the floor of this is what the standard is. This is the way it's supposed to be. There should be respect in a relationship. There should be monogamy in a relationship, right? And I'll leave it at that. There should be monogamy in a relationship. I'm not going to go into the details and all that, right? There should be good communication in a relationship. All these things should be there. You shouldn't be fighting in front of the kids. You talk about things behind closed doors. Like, we do those things. There should be financial responsibility within a relationship. So I set that foundation because that foundation is what I'm going to start building on to start really helping this man build himself back up to who he's supposed to be. Help him remember who he's supposed to be. Give him that Lion King moment when Simba was talking to his father in the clouds, and his father would say, "Hey, remember who you are." Like waking that back up in him, right? Otherwise, he's going to go downhill because a lot of times we as men, we forget who we are because we give up so much of ourselves, and we don't even recognize who we see in the mirror. So that would be the first thing I would do if a man like that came into my office and we were talking. That's the first thing I would do. I lay that foundation with objective truth of what a healthy relationship is supposed to look like and how it's supposed to be treated. That's the first thing I would do.
Nice. Because that has a lot to do with a lot of stuff. And guys, if you have any situation, like, please bring out your phone right here like this. Scan that code on the right. It'll go to an assessment so you can find encouragement and belong to a brotherhood that has your best interest, because no man in any situation should be having you going through this, because it's a super sim. You're being used, you're being physically abused, you're being tormented, and you're being used as a paycheck for your financial reasons when you're not even getting all the benefits, right? You're not even, like I said, the person that came to me with this situation, it kind of got it. I was so shocked because that's why they brought it up to me. Because if you lost your confidence as a man and you think this person is the best thing that's going to happen to you, this is the type of self-confidence I want to work with, so that we can figure out a way, like Doc said, to get you in a Simba situation where you can be the best version of yourself. But it does take a little steps. And we do have courses of this. We do have workshops coming in 2026, right? And in fact, one of the courses is make them pay and learn to walk away. This is a workshop that we have that's going to build you up to what Doc was just talking about, because I'm very passionate about this, because I like to see people get used, especially if I'm a partner, whether you're gay, from a partner, from anything else, because it should be an equal thing and a commitment thing, not ran over, regardless of what it is. If you're getting ran over in your relationships, or you feel like you're being abused, not just physically, but emotionally, and especially just for your paycheck, we need to talk. Take that assessment. Here's that link right now. I'm going to put it at the bottom. Scan that code, right? Scan the code right there, or You can even scan the code at the top right if you're catching that in. If you're watching this on the replay or you're on the restream, scan the codes. Anyone will get you where you need to be, because at the end of the day, we want to get you the help that you desperately might not think you need, but that you want a change in life for 2026. Money can be replaced. Items can be replaced, but your dignity, your self-respect has to be replaced somehow, right? Doc, if it gets physical, what do you say about the physicality? I mean, anytime somebody gets physical, it should be a done deal. So that's kind of rough for me to. For me to handle. What do you think about that part?
If we've got to the point where, I mean, so many things have gone wrong if you're in a situation where it's gotten physical. Physicality doesn't just come out the blue, even for domestic violence situations, right? No one starts a relationship and just, bam, I'm going to start hitting you. Like, that doesn't happen, right? So even before I even address about what happens if it gets physical, that's why you need to make sure you know how you want to be treated. You know your boundaries and you stand on those, and you stop giving up parts of yourself, thinking that if I give up enough pieces of myself, maybe things will be finally be good. Maybe they'll finally love me. Again, when you don't hold your boundaries, you're not going to get love, period. You're not going to get respect. We respect people who uphold their boundaries. Women respect men who won't tolerate stuff, right? They do, right? I was there was two there were two like TikTokers, female TikTokers. They're Hispanic. One was her name is Super Veronica, and the other one is it's Tay Baby, right? Both Hispanic women, and they were saying that they like when their men stand up and say, "Hey, you're not going to treat me that way. You need to tell me there."
The one
Like,
mentor,
they were saying like, "Oh man, that's hot," so on and so forth, right?
right?
And so,
Absolutely.
and I've seen, but I've also seen that within the Black community as well, where it's like, where the guy's like, "Well, hold on, pause," right? Like, I understand you're hurt, but I need you to bring that down, right? There's respect because there's control there, right? There's security there.
Security and control.
110%. This is, I'll throw aside a little bit of dating advice, right? And relationship advice. Women love men who make them feel secure, physically, spiritually, and mentally.
100%.
Women love, I'm talking about go head over heels for men that make them feel secure. This is across the board: white, Black, Asian, Hispanic, yellow, brown, orange, purple, under the water, in space. All women love a man that makes them feel secure. That's why you hear women talk about, oh, he has to make a certain amount of money, or I like a guy that's tall, or whatever the case may be, right? A guy has position. It's not about that stuff. It's about the security. It's a physical representation of security. So, but you can't make a woman feel secure if you don't have boundaries. And that's why nice guys get ran over all the time. People pleasers, they get ran over all the time because you're not making her feel secure. Yes, you're doing nice things. Yes, you're kind. Yes, you're loving. I'm not saying don't do that, but the moment she starts getting buck, you got to be able to go, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, deal with your emotions. Something.
Like, either you're going to get it together, or I'm walking out of this situation. I'm not going to engage in this. Women love that. I just give you that. That's free advice. That's free game right there, right? Next time.
From a doc, from a therapist, from a real one.
But I'll say this as well, right? So let's say you didn't do that. You're like, okay, that's great, Keith, but I didn't do that. My woman's put her hands on me, things like that, right? It should never get to that point. But what I would say is, depending on the relationship, right? Depending on the type of person you are, it needs to be a one and done. Like, if she lost control because you were setting boundaries and it got to this point, but now's the time you need to set boundaries where you need to say, hey, I know you lost control or whatever the case may be, but you will never, ever put hands on me again, because if you do, I'm calling the police and I'm pressing charges. Period. Point blank. End of discussion. Now, if you want to press your luck, please feel free to do that. That's your career on the line. That's the kid that's you on the line, right? You need to make that very, very clear with no uncertain circumstances. You need to say, hey, you put your hands on me again, I'm calling the police, I'm pressing charges, especially if there's wounds on me, like you scratch and stuff like that. I'm pressing charges and I'm going to follow through. And that's the thing with boundaries, guys. You got to make sure you follow through. If you don't follow through, people lose respect for you. Oh, you said you were going to do that. You didn't even do that. Oh, man. Gosh, I can't trust that man in his word. So I would say that. I know it's extreme, but you got to let, no one should be putting their hands on anybody. That's how things get dangerous. That's how people get hurt. That's how people end up killed. It should never, ever, ever, ever get to that point, right? It should never get to that point. And now other guys might say, the moment you put your hands on you, it's done. I'm wrapping it up, right? I'm leaving the situation, right? But I mean, whatever your boundaries are, right? That's on you. Whatever your boundaries are, right? That's you set that up. But I would say if that happens once, you need to let it be known. I'm pressing charges if you do it again. I'm pressing charges if you do it again.
How do you? Let me ask you. Let me switch this up for a minute.
Yeah.
How do you? When a couple comes in to you for therapy or something like that, and that situation arises, who do you work on first, or do you work on both in a situation like that? Because when you doing your therapy thing and everything, you asking the questions, you learning, you finding out what they're really all about.
Mm-hmm.
When do you decide from a professional standpoint, like, okay, this person is overweighing this other person, but they don't think it's anything wrong?
So that I have to bring that to their attention, right? So if we're talking about, well, for one, if we're talking about domestic violence, that's something that, we have to ask. Well, I meet individually with the clients and I have to ask them each, like, is there
Or
any
individually? Okay.
violence in there, right? Or is continuing domestic violence? If there is, then well, we're not going to bring it up in the session. But two, I got to do something to keep that person safe first and foremost.
Because
Right.
it's you have to as part
Yeah.
of your thing as a state. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not talking about like, oh, it was a one-off or something like that, or things just got out of control. Like it was too, like, we're not talking about it. We're talking about like continuous, like
Continuous.
domestic violence. And more, and I'll say as well, like I'm thankful I don't necessarily get those couples coming in to me.
Mm.
So yeah. So I want to say, that because that does get, it's it's more involved as far as that's concerned. However, if we're just talking about someone that's overpowering the conversation, right? So what I do get is a lot of couples that come in and the woman might be very verbose, right? And she might want to talk about, using you statements about the husband. And so what I will do is I will hop in, because again, the husband more often than not probably had the same mindset that we all had at one point in time, where it's like, well, I was going to keep quiet. I'm not going to share anything. I'm not going to open up. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to kind of take it. And, but I always try to tell them, like, this is not, I'm here for the relationship, but not here for just one person. So then what I will do is I will either have the woman start using you statements, or I'll give the guy the same level of time. I'll let them know that you need to focus on what you're experiencing, what you're got going on. But I'll really start navigating these conversations to make sure that there isn't that overpowering going back and forth. That's how I would handle that. But as far as like, yeah, if it is that, then the boundaries, we'll talk about the boundaries. Like we need to make sure we're treating each other with respect, right? And if she's saying something that's gets, with the frame of thought we're having right now, if she's saying something that's out of pocket, I'm gonna bring that up, right?
I see.
Yeah, because someone has to. I mean, that's why I'm here for. I'm not here to, try to be Mr. Nice Guy. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to, drill him and tear him apart. But at the same time, if I see inappropriate behavior, if I see the behavior that's causing the issues in the first place, it'd be unethical. It would be wrong. Forget unethical. It'd just be wrong for I have to say something. I am the unbiased observer that has no stake in this, So if they're coming to me for help, I got to let them know that they need help. I'll also, be able to say that, hey, we got to have our boundaries. We got to stand up for ourselves. We got to make sure we're able, obviously in the context of the relationship, but essentially, making sure that they are able to make sure they're able to stand up for themselves and actually communicate and do it in a safe environment.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, because if you have split situations and you have to do all of that, because the confidence level, like, they might affect how they're going to be seen. Because say you're running through a problem, guys. Let's make this clear. If you're in a situation where you don't feel emotionally protected, right? And if your partner is doing something to you that is just, you're like almost like a battered person syndrome, it'll affect everything that you have going on in your life moving forward. Your job, your work, the people you communicate with, you're looking for validation from it. You might even have a cowering effect on yourself where I'm totally the opposite, but I feel for the people that go through this because maybe they don't have the tools to deal with it.
Yeah.
We at Boundaries and Brothers want to give you the tools, the workshops, so you can gain the confidence, conquer self-doubt,
Mhm.
and stop seeking validation on social media platforms and cash the check your ego can, instead of giving it away to somebody that don't appreciate you and just using you. Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of users in the world. I just did a faceless video about vampires in the world. It might not just be blood. It can
Mhm.
be emotion, physical. It could be something that is draining you and you just can't put your finger on it, right? There are vampires in this world. It might be a attention vampire, a financial vampire. It doesn't have to be physical blood. It could be something else. And that's what we want to give for you, Doc. Now, if you guys want to work with Doc, he does have a private practice called FCS LLC. You can look it up online, but leave a comment if you want to work with Doc, because his professional career and the insights for what me and him both bring is going to be moving forward in 2026 with all these workshops, programs, all this stuff that you want to. If you have a situation that you're in right now, we have programs that and bonuses for like a 6-week course. That's what we're going to be providing: a workshop, a brotherhood, a safe space where you can vent, where you can tell, because sometimes you can't do it alone. You need somebody like step that where you can do it. Because if not, the outcome is you unalive yourself. And that's not what we don't want.
Yep.
Whether unalive or do something crazy that sends you to prison. In
Yeah.
fact, I just seen one on the news. The ra- truck driver went to a club, got mad because he was getting belligerent with the staff, and he rammed his truck and killed a person. Good guy, did all this stuff right. But for the judge said, for that 2 hours, you didn't think of nobody but yourself.
Mm.
She gave him life.
Jesus.
Life. Because of why? Why are you in there in the first place? Right.
Man.
So it's
And
the same thing.
yeah, no, and it is, and it is. And I know we're kind of starting talking about relationships and things like that. Now, I would like to bring it back to, just really focusing on, the man, by himself, right? The
Right.
one, who's feel like he's being used in the relationship, because a lot of
Mhm.
guys feel they're being used in a relationship. And the fact of the matter is, people can only use us if we allow them to use us,
Sure.
right? And I think that's the problem. That's why I said that foundation. Like, this is the way it's supposed to be, right? And now we start getting into, okay, now what is allowing you to? Why are you allowing this to happen? What is going on within you that's allowing yourself to be treated this way, to be talked to this way, to allow the relationship to go this way? What is keeping you there? And I
Mhm.
really get him to start asking those questions. I start asking those questions, so that he can start asking himself those questions and answering those for himself. Because a lot of times we as guys, we get caught up in a lot of the myths, right? Like we're talking about
True.
before,
True.
that we're not supposed to feel, that we got to keep it all in, that we got to handle it, that maybe I'm not being man enough, or, whatever. We get caught up in these myths, but it's time to start challenging them. So when the men come in with situations like this, I get them to start challenging them. Why are you allowing this to happen? Why are you sitting in a conversation where you're getting berated over and over again? What is causing you to not speak up and share your own thoughts and your own feelings? And that's when the work starts happening. That's when you start opening up. Because going, like you were saying, there's a lot of us as men that, we don't connect with other people. We,
Correct.
we don't, we don't,
Isolate.
yeah, we don't connect with other people. We don't open up and share what we got going on. We don't do anything like that. And because we don't do anything like that, we hold it all in and we struggle and we struggle and we struggle. And that's another thing as well. Some guys are embarrassed, right? Some
Big,
guy, like,
big word.
for instance, the example that you brought up, what guy wants to go around sharing that, yeah, my woman, is cheating on me and she beats on me and I'm still here? No, there's a shame that comes along with that. And when
Shame.
you don't want to,
The shame. Yep.
yeah. And when it comes to shame, that's the thing. Like, shame only has power when it's hidden in the dark, but we don't want to bring it up. Why? Because we don't feel safe. We feel that there's going to be men out there that are going to be like, oh man, you're weak, you're pathetic, you're soft. Oh man, you're not a man. You're a da 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 da. You know, you're a simp. You get called all these names. It isolates you and ostracizes you even more, and it causes you to get stuck in the situation even more. You know, and it's this repeating cycle, right? And then maybe you leave that situation. Here's the thing, Gordon, because sometimes the guys do leave, but then they hop into another similar situation.
Exact same thing.
Over and over again.
The same
work has to be done here. We got to do the work in here. We got to do the work in here. We got to start asking ourselves those questions. Why am I allowing myself to be treated this way? Why am I staying in conversations in situations that don't serve me? Why am I not opening up and sharing my thoughts and feelings? Why am I so concerned about conflict? Like, really start asking yourself these questions and answering them so that we can get back to what is supposed to be good. So we can start being our authentic self. Why am I shutting pieces of myself off? You know, I've seen videos of these guys, you know, where it's like when a girl says like, oh, you're being annoying. And now then all of a sudden they become all nonchalant. Right. And I'm like, why are you becoming nonchalant? Show out. Like, you think this is annoying. Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. And then there's a Bible scripture.
I was trying to think that exactly.
Yeah. David was he was excited. They got the Ark of the Covenant. So he's in the street dancing in his, his underwear, I think it is, like his loincloth or whatever, and he's just having the time of his life. And his wife saw him and said she hated him in her heart. I think that's what it said. And then when he comes back home, he's like excited, he just amped up, like feeling good. And then his wife's like, oh, wow, look how great and glorious the king was in the street dancing in his underwear. And then David didn't get all nonchalant, like, oh, well, I'm just going to tone it down. And David was sure about who he was. He was 100% sure. He said, oh, you thought that was bad? Oh, I'm going to be more vile than thus. I'm going to be even worse. You thought I was showing out like that? Well, I'm going to be doing flips butt naked.
Yeah, backflip, bounce off your head and shit.
But you can't do that, Gordon, unless you know yourself. You guys don't know yourself. If you're not fully engaged with who you are and being authentic, you'll never do that. You'll shut down and be like, well, I guess it's not safe to be myself. No, I'm going to be myself. If you're annoyed, well, you just have to be annoyed. That is your problem, not mine. And that's another thing as well. We get so concerned about, well, I don't want to make her upset, and I don't want to argue, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. So don't argue. You don't have to get upset. If she flips out, guess what? You walk away. Hey, I already told you about yelling. I already told you about raising your voice. You did it again. This conversation's over. When you get it together, then we can have this conversation.
Deal with your emotions. Come back and talk to me. We'll have a conversation.
You walk away. And I'm tell you this is going to happen. If you're not going to walk away from me, and you're trying to control the conversation, and you're being a bully, and you're doing this, and you're doing that, and this is what you guys do. And you walk away. A good of noise canceling headphones, and you walk away. So guess who she's gonna be arguing with?
Oh, piss her off even more.
Guess who's gonna be yelling herself? Guess who's gonna be calm, cool, and collected? You. Guess who's gonna have peace? You. Guess who's gonna be themselves? You. Guess who's gonna be able to enjoy the rest of their day? You. Right? And guess what's gonna happen? She's gonna have to come back around and be like, dang, I really want to talk to him. I got to come correct. I can't be popping off like that. I can't be doing that. But you have to know yourself. You have to know that I'm worthy of respect. I'm worthy to be talked to the right way. I'm worthy of that. I don't got to work for that. I don't got to earn that. I don't got to make no money to receive that. I don't got to do nothing. Just as a human being, I am worthy of good treatment like that. Right?
Like anybody else.
It has nothing to do with being a husband. Nothing has to do with being in a relationship. Nothing like that. As a human, I'm worthy of that. And once you understand that and know that, then start speaking up for the things you want, and then and sharing your thoughts and feelings, regardless of what some house is going to take it. Now, of course, this is all with you being able to do it the right way, right? Yes. So I'm not saying that you now come with you statements and you criticize and you tear her down and now you get mad that she's popping off. I'm not saying that, right? You got to make sure your side of the street's clean and you're doing what you're supposed to do. But if you're doing what you're supposed to do and she's still flipping out,
that's it.
No, and if she won't stop and she won't change, then there is this thing. And in Gordon, I want you to get out your notepads and notebooks. There's this technology that was created, and it allows us to exit situations and places. It's called a door, right? It's called a door.
Right, the door.
There's a knob on it. You turn it, and then when you turn it, this locking mechanism opens up, and you pull. Sometimes you got to push.
Sometimes you gotta push. Sometimes you gotta kick it down.
And then you go, and then you don't look back, right? It's called leaving. If someone's not going to respect you, if they're going to keep disrespecting you, if they're going to violate your boundaries, if they're going to be doing all these things, they're going to be cheating on you, they're using you, and all these things like that, you just use the door and say, I'm out. Peace. That's not love. I don't know whatever you think in your mind, because this is what happens, Gordon. We take a few good moments, which is so strange. And I don't have time to break all this down, because it really ties back to confidence, which you talked about before. But we take a few good moments and chain them together and think that that's what makes this person up. Oh my gosh, she's so great. Oh man, we had that great time together. Oh man, we went on that vacation, or oh man, the sex
don't count.
And Gordon, talking about like at 365 days, you might have 10 good times. A majority might be just neutral at best. And then the other times are these big, massive explosions and fights and invalidation and dismissal and being emasculated and all that stuff like that. But you out here holding on to these few small good moments. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, if I can just do enough, if I can make more money, if I could do all these things, oh man, it will finally be great again. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, this is not Trump's 2016 campaign of Make America Great Again. No, it's not. It's not going to be great again. I'm sorry. It won't, because you're not looking at reality. You're not looking at reality. Reality.
Right.
Behavior in front of you, that's reality. The consistent disrespect, that's reality. The cheating on you, the using you, the bleeding you dry financially, emotionally, mentally, like that's reality. You have to stop looking at what it used to be, or a few good moments, and look at this is the way it is. And once you start seeing them as they are instead of how you think they are, it's going to be a lot easier for you to say, oh, well, I don't want that. I don't want this.
Well, that's
honor those good moments or what? But yeah, it was nice. That stuff was nice. Yeah, that sex was nice. We had a nice vacation or whatnot. We had a couple of good moments, a couple of good laughs. But but that's not reality. Guess what? Guess what, guys? And Gordon, you can attest to this as well. I bet y'all can go to jail right now and have good moments with people in prison. You could probably have good moments with a rapist, pedophile. You could probably have good moments with a serial killer. You could probably have good moments with a terrorist. Probably have good moments with all these people. Does that mean you got to be in a relationship with these people and stay and hang out with them? Of course not. That's just a basic human experience. Every now and then we cross paths on something that we both like. So stop looking at that as, oh my gosh, it's so great. No, you can look at it back, now this sucks. I don't like the way I feel. I don't like the way I've been treated. I'm coming out of all this mess. I'm working with Keith. I'm working with Gordon. I know who I am. I've become the 11th man, and nothing's changing on her side. Oh, let me just go check that door thing out. Keith was talking about that door technology. I'm gonna go check that thing out. I'm gonna see how that thing works. Oh, shoot, look, it opens back and forth. Oh man. Oh,
absolutely. And here's the cool part, right? And this is one of them. I'm gonna tell you that, guys. Let me switch this off to Maya, right? A lot of the times people don't have direction, they don't have the path to figure out what they're gonna be doing. But these are we have 20 services we're gonna be providing in 2026. And one of them is where it says, alone no more, open the door. Do you believe that's one of our workshops? Alone no more, open the door. Articulate articulate and master your faith. These are some of the programs we have, and we have 20 of them. Because there's 20 sovereign things a man needs to do, and those are one of them. And I'm going to show you a brief sample of one of our workshops that we have been going on, right? Like if you look, you're going to be able to have your sovereign worth, command value for what you got going on, and always going to be from doing this. You possess an inherent value simply, let's see if I can move, simply by it's an unconditional, unshakable value within yourself. And these are the things we're going to be going over, because what Doc is From sovereign worth to commanding your own value within yourself. A lot of the times, you might have a misguided old thing from what's been going on in your life or from a past value that's been misguided from a different age model. What me and Doc is going to be providing is a simple step process that makes you command value using the pillars from the SIR method that Doc created, right? Doc created a SIR method that gets you to the space where you want. If you're getting ran over at home, if you're a professional, you're not having emotional attachment with your children. If you're thinking, that's a perfect example, right, Doc? You might be a professional running a $6 million Fortune 500 company, but you feel like crap at home, right?
Yeah.
You don't know how to communicate. You don't know how to set boundaries. You can tell everybody at work what to do, but you're also being used to buy those bags that your wife wants and those pumps while she's over there messing around with Chad. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
And if you're not okay with it, if you're okay with it, if you have an open relationship, that's a whole different story. But these are the things we're going to be going over in 2026. And it all starts with an assessment. Believe me, guys, there's so much coming up. In fact, Doc, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you off of these are the things to-do lists that I have to do by the first week. Those are what has to be done, right?
Yeah.
For this workshop, for us to come together as a brotherhood, as something that you guys can lean on to find the past workshops. Even if you can't afford it, we'll work something out with you. Even if you can't do something, you can have access to the replays for a small minimal fee. If you don't think confidence is something you want to pursue, then like I say, close the door, walk the door, whatever thing that you can be. But this is what we want to provide for you going into 2020. You guys been watching us. If you're watching this on the replay, you've been watching us for a year. Comments are coming in YouTube left and right. And some are good, some are bad, but it doesn't matter because it's rattling feathers. We want you going into 2026 with a path, a course, and a direction that you're going to gain the confidence that you truly deserve and live a life of both abundance and blessings based on what you truly feel, not what somebody else wants you to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that was deep, huh, Doc? Where did it come from?
Yeah. Well, I think it came from us just trying to make sure that, the
You
guys
did right.
they have everything they need in order to really be the 11th man, be the man that they want to be sovereign in their own life, right?
Doc.
And make sure they have the control that they're supposed to have. And I think, yeah, and I won't go, I was about to go in another direction when it came to like being sovereign, but we could talk about that another time.
That.
Yeah. That's when I was going to say. Well, no, I'll say this.
All right, go for it. Let Dr. Law, please.
Yeah. I'll say this. I just want to make sure because I know, coming from a faith background, right, Christian background, when we say things, Gordon, like be sovereign over your life, over your own life, and things like that, then we'll have like people who are religious be like, no, God's supposed to be sovereign in your life, and all these things like that. And I'm not saying that God is not sovereign in our lives, right? Yes, ultimately that's who, and I'm not preaching or anything like that, but those of faith, I'm not saying that God is, like, I'm more sovereign than God, or I'm the God of my own life, or things like that. Like, that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're doing. So this still aligns with your faith. You could still join Boundaries and Brotherhood and not be violating your faith, because the idea is God has given us autonomy. He has given us the power to choose. He has given us the power to stand up for ourselves and be our authentic self. And he needs us to exercise that so that we can do what he wants to do through us, right? Because God can't work through a simp. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. It can't be done.
Right? God cannot work through a David who was so concerned about what his wife thought, that he's now not going to praise him and worship him, in the street in any way possible, right? So God can't work through people like that. So even if you are in the faith and you hear something like, well, the sovereign program, well, you're going to be no, it doesn't go against that. As a matter of fact, if you're really trying to work for God, you definitely need this program because you can't be there. There's a lot of people pleasers and nice guys in church. I'll be honest, there's a lot. Well, maybe if I just pray more, read the Bible more, maybe she'll eventually come around and things like that. And it's like, no, you still need the skills and strategies necessary to be the man that God has called you to be the 11th man, to be sovereign in your own life and recognize that God has given us dominion here, right? And if he gave us, he said, hey, he gave Adam dominion and then he gave him a charge. He said, go and subdue, right? Oh, the whole world's yours and you don't got to do nothing. He said, I'm giving you dominion over the world, but you have to go and subdue. When he talked to Israel, he said, you have to go and take over the promised land. Like, I'm giving it to you. Like, I'm going to be there with you, but there's something you got to do. And so we are that gap there. The doing part, that's the part we're helping you to understand more about yourself so you can now move forward. Because the thing is, you're not going to be able to command your company. You're not going to be able to command your house. You're not going to be able to do it the right way, because some guys might say, oh, yeah, well, I command my company, but are you a good boss? Do people respect you? Are you having a whole lot of turnover? Or do people talk about you behind your back because you don't know how to treat people? You don't know how to talk to people because you have an ego or you have insecurities or you think people should bow down to you or something like that. Like, there's different parts to this as well. I know today we're talking about more so the people-pleasing side and the simping side and the nice guy side, right? But there's also the other side as well that we can talk about at another time. But it's so important for us to have these skills and strategies, and they're going to help you in every single area of your life. Every area of your life. I can guarantee you that with 100%. It will not be isolated to just relationships. It will not just be isolated to your kids. It will not just be isolated to your business. When you learn what we teach you, you can use it in every single aspect of your life, comfortably, confidently, at all times. And the best part about it is you get to be yourself the whole time.
The best part about it all.
You don't listen to nobody else. You don't got to be me. You don't got to be Gordon. You don't got to be nobody else. You can just be yourself the entire time, right?
Beautiful. Guys, if you're looking for direction, if you're looking for a pathway to success, if you're looking for ways to control and become emotionally intelligent going into 2026, this was a special edition because tomorrow is New Year's Day. I didn't even realize. If you want to work with Doc, leave us a comment. We'll shoot you over some stuff. You're going to have a lot of things popping up soon. 2026 is the year we start helping. Look out for start marking your calendars for 6 to 8 week program that you can do with books, with a workflow, with a checklist, with things you can do. Next year is going to be your year, and I really want you to be a part of it. Guys, this is Gordon Watt from Boundaries and Brotherhood. If you're wondering where you can find us, see at the top, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, School. We're going to be on Telegram and a Reddit channel, right? We can get it all so that you can have the best possible outcome going to 2026. You guys have a safe and happy new year. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys. Yep. Have a great and safe new year, guys. Again, we're not stopping. We'll be back next week, to carry you into 2026, and guys, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great year, but it can be even a better year, guys, if you finally be able to stand up and have some boundaries, around yourself and in your life so that you can really focus on the people who want to be in your life and in your circle and start cutting out the people who don't want to be, that don't want to treat you with respect, don't want to love you, don't want to honor you, that don't want to just give you basic human decency, right? So yeah, Dr. Keith Fairclough, I'll see y'all later. Y'all take care. Have a great, awesome, and blessed day. Great and blessed new year.
All right. We'll see you guys.